keywords control chart. And you might think this being a theory and lot of numericals, lot of graphs, but it's not graphs. You talk about this in terms of the qualitative or quantitative. But qualitative we represented by some value or a component or by some metric, something like that. So this is a similar thing. It is both the quantitative as qualitative. Quantitative in the sense like if we talk about the compression strength in terms of numbers. Qualitative in the sense like how do we make use of the compressor strength to derive whether the test is accepted or not accepted, something like that. Right. This is a similar example. We take 100 concrete cubes and we cast it and we cure it and we test it and we'll find the compressive strength, and the grade designated is M30. So the characteristics compressive strength is 30 Newton per millimeter square, and standard deviation is 5. You remember in a previous class we talked about the different standard deviations um, for different grades of concrete. And these are different conditions. We generally consider this a very good condition for M30. We just take 5. Very good degree of quality control, so we'll take it 5. Then target compressive strength, the formula is FCM or FCK, you can call that to be equals to FCU plus K into S. And K we can generally take as 1.65, or in this case I wanted to go with the ACI, then we took 1.64. And the standard deviation is 5. Then the target compressive strength is 38.2. So the target compressive strength is simply the target which is an achievable, and also it is something kind of a interesting thing based on this factor of safety, this particular degree of quality control, and one in failures, something like that, right? And the design mean range, this is pretty new term. Probably this is what that makes Sievert's control chart a little different from the other kind of control mechanisms. In fact, if you recall the control groups that we developed, the upper control and lower control and control units, so those are another metric which doesn't consider the design mean range, whereas in the design mean range in the keyword chart it's very essential. I'll tell you what exactly that means. So 1.10, it's a factor of safety multiplied by the S, which is the standard deviation, will give you some value which is 5.5 Newton per millimeter square. So I'll tell you where exactly we can use this, but understand this. This is the quality control of concrete, concrete specimens or 100 concrete cubes or something like that, right? Then this is the chart. This is cube reference number. We talk about 100 cubes. So 1 to 100. This is the first column. Remember this column, this will be very useful when you do it manually. In a manual, in examination, we don't give you hundreds samples because it takes a lot of time. For practice, you can copy this particular stuff in Excel and you can start working on it. Might be a 25 cubes or 20 cubes, we might give it an exam. Then estimated 28th day strength, which is the compressive strength value of the individual cubes of M30 grade, right? Then FC is the test value minus FCM is the actual value. So it's a target value. FCM is the target mean compressive strength value, which is 38.2, something like that. So 37.2 minus 38.2 is minus 1.0. So this is generally the square of the deviation. Probably you can, if you remember this particular example, we talked about the squares of deviation, the mean minus the xi, this value. So mean is here is 36.4 minus 28.9. This is the difference between that, and this is the square of the difference, something like that. So that's only the difference between two values. One is the 38.2, another is 37.2. So test value minus the required value or required target or something like that. So this is a different thing, and this is a cumulative sum. So you just put the first value here, and this plus this will give us this, and this plus this will give us this, and this plus this will give us this, and the sequence goes on till the 100th cube, something like that. So this is a cumulative sum of the mean. So that is what we call a q sum m, q sum mean. So this is a very interesting terminology that you should really understand, not only for concurrent perspective but any quality control perspective. QSUM chart is a very important tool to understand the deviations. I'll let you know how it is important. Then the range of adjustment in cells, something like that. So what exactly is this is like uh, the values pertaining to 1 second. All right, so this is the probably you can talk about the variation between individual cubes or something like that. Say for example, there's no first variation because it's only 37.2. There's no previous value. So 41.4 minus 42.1. This will be zero point 0.7. This will be minus 0.7, and 30.4 probably this one. Sorry, this one. The values in which it gets varied, not this one, this one. 3.9 minus of minus 1.0 is 4.9, and similarly the result goes on and on. 0.9, and this is an absolute value, so remember this is an absolute value. And once that is done, then we talked about 5, which is this particular column, minus a design mean range, which is nothing but the 1.10 multiplied by 5, which is a standard deviation. So it's 5.5. So this minus 5.5 will be this, and this charts keeps going, something like that. It's for 100 value, and cumulative sum of this. First value will be here, then this plus this will give us this, and this plus this will give us this, and goes on and on, right? So one of the disadvantage of tabular data is that it's very difficult to interpret. So not many people have the vision to look into how the deviations are, and what is the significance of this particular numbers or something like that. So what we do is we do visually, but before that, like we'll take the mean group of previous 4 results, which means that we'll take 4. This is probably many people know it's a moving average method. So in this case, 4 cubes, the average will be put here, and this 4 cubes of this cube, 1 plus this 2 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 4, which is 37.2 plus 42.1 plus 41.4 plus 30.4, that sums to 151.1, and divided by 4 is 37.775. I rounded off to near decimal places, 37.8, and so on. So it's a moving average stuff. um, Plotting this and this has a meaning. This is something like a discrete frequency, and this is group frequency in the order of 4. You can even take 5, but more the number of groups, the reliability of the result won't be there. So that's very important, right? So far it's just like the basic overview of what is a control chart and data mechanism. What you can do is you can take particular stuff and you put it in Excel, then you understand much better. Okay, and one thing to be noted down is like the range of adjustments in results is all positive value. It's an absolute value, so there's no negative value. The reason is that, say for example, 3.2 minus 3.9 is it's zero point 0.7 minus zero point 0.7, but we only take 0.7 because we only take the absolute value, something like that. 1.9 minus 3.0, 1.9 minus 3.0 is something like minus 1.1, but we generally give it 1.1, something like that. So this is an absolute value, and this can vary. The fifth can vary. 5.5 can be minus from this, and depending upon that it gets varied something, right? And this is the whole data, and this is a very interesting thing. It's a skewered control chart, and you remember this particular control chart is pretty much used with the ANOM, so analysis mean chart. So we talk about the upper control limit, we talk about the lower control limit, and these are the different, in this case is all mean compressive strength, and similarly here it is just the compressive strength, not mean compressive strength, just the compressive strength value plotted for 100 cubes ranging from, this is M30 grade, so the minimum is somewhere here and maximum is somewhere here, and this is the whole scatter plot of the compressive strength value, right? The next is mean compressive strength in terms of 4 consecutive groups. We take the 4 moving average, then we plot that. So you see this is a holistic, and we cannot able to understand really what these are, and it says scattered and it's all scattered randomly, and this thing has got some correlation, something like that. So the density you can see, here's one density, and probably here is one other density, and here probably another density, something like that. So this density is like more of 30 cubes falling the range of 40, something closer to 40 or something, but this cluster is somewhere less than 35. This cluster is also having a mixture of an average of 37, 38 kind of thing, something like that. And so that's how you generally take. So classification is a very big thing, but we will try to do sometimes later on in this course. So this is a very important thing. So even skewered chart and skewered chart with an upper control and lower control will not be very effective or very useful. So instead we have to plot another type of curve. I'll tell you what exactly that means. We'll just have to plot, just connect the dots. We have to just connect the dots. This kind of dot plot to line plot or a wire plot, then finally you'll get something like this. Is probably you can see trading charts. If you are very much interested in trading, then you probably gonna see this trading chart, or kind of an ECG. When you go to hospital, probably you can, if you have taken ECG, or a civil engineering perspective, just like a seismic intensity chart, something like that. So what does that tell you? Is like in this we do not find much idea, but in this case when you draw a scatter plot with that, then it just find, this is a goodness of it, this is a fit, this is a goodness of it, like how efficiently it can be fitted, and you can see just like wobbling from some, here it is very deep, it is very high, but when you go to that you can probably see the graphs variation, something like that. And there's another peak and something like that. So something like which just tells about the importance of this particular thing or something like that. Then we talk about QSUM mean strength, which is the here it is QSUM mean strength, and it gets varied from actually 0 and negative 25 and positive 25, and this is something like, and variability, something like this. See, this is the negative side variation and this is the positive side variation, and out of this we the QSUM standard deviation, we only get to a point of discussion, not the actual solution. So what makes you to choose a particular sample or the group of sample is a technique called VMAS technique. So this is a very interesting. So why I wanted to teach this skewered chart separately in a class is that it's very important, because be it concrete quality control or any production quality control or whatever, this plays a huge role. So V mask technique plays a huge role. So it was developed by Barnard in 1959, and it forms in the shape of V. That is why we call it a V mask technique or something like that. And something like, I'll just tell you what exactly that means. If all the points or the lines lie between the V-shaped funnel, then the process is considered to be in control, or there is no deviation much, or the entire reliability of the experiment is good. But sometimes if it is go off balance or off the crosses the even touches or crosses the V line, then we will just think of the process is not in control and it needs additional experimentation, or sometimes we might remove the outliers also. So something which is not contributing to the values, we can remove it, so that can be done, right? Then VMAS technique, and up to this is numerical stuff that you can probably look into, but after this is just like theory part, so you don't have to really do a problem on VMAS because that needs a lot of computational thing. You're gonna do it by hand, so it's one important thing. And we'll talk about this little later, and there's a formula for this, and this is the VMAS technique. So cumulative sum standard deviation, so Q sum standard deviation, and we take the last value, final extreme value, then what we do is that is origin for the V. So that's an origin for the V, and we will have some factor called D, capital D, which is this equal to 2 by delta, and this is the formula. And this is capital small d, and this extends to a point from where the funnel starts, and there's an angle where which we can calculate theta is equal to tan inverse of delta divided by 2, and half the angle here and half the angle here, this is the theta by 2 and theta by 2. So this is an upper, this is a lower bound line, and that extends to infinity, and anything that curvature, any curvature that goes beyond this particular thing is generally unacceptable. So in this case, luckily it was like nearing but not crossing this thing, so which means that our experiment is okay. So whatever we have done, the process is in control or the experimentation is good. Sometimes if it goes above crossing this or above this line, then probably there's some problem, and this angle is based on the this value. So this is the V shape is not constant, and this height, the height is h, and this is d, and the slope of this particular line is k. So how does the slope varies is because of the value called k, and that's basically the V mask technique, something like that.